If you're here right now, there's a reason. Something in that title pulled at a place in your chest that's been aching for confirmation. You've been feeling it, haven't you? That strange, beautiful, heartbreaking contradiction that lives in the space between you and someone who looks at you with stars in their eyes but can't seem to fully step into what you're offering. Let me be clear about what's happening right now in your connection. This person loves you. Not the casual kind of love that fades when things get complicated. Not the shallow attraction that only wants you when you're easy to understand. They are genuinely, deeply, terrifyingly in love with you. The kind of love that makes them reach for their phone just to see if you've texted. The kind that has them mentioning you in conversations where you don't even belong. The kind that keeps your face in their mind when they're supposed to be focused on something else entirely. But here's the truth that's been sitting in your stomach like a stone: they can't handle something about you. And I'm not talking about a surface-level preference or a minor incompatibility. I'm talking about something fundamental to who you are. Something that shines so brightly in you that it exposes everything in them that hasn't caught up yet. You've sensed this, haven't you? In the way they pull close and then step back. In how they celebrate you in private but hesitate in public. In the moments when you share something real and vulnerable and you watch their face do this complicated dance between connection and fear. You've been wondering if you're imagining it, if you're being too sensitive, if maybe you're expecting too much. Sweet friend, you're not imagining anything. What I'm about to share with you over the next hour will give you clarity on exactly what's happening, why it's happening, and what it means for your path forward. We're going to explore the beautiful, painful complexity of being loved by someone who isn't quite ready to hold all of who you are. And more importantly, we're going to talk about what you do with this truth. Because here's what matters most: this isn't about whether you're too much or not enough. This is about recognition. This is about seeing clearly. This is about understanding that love alone doesn't always equal readiness, and that someone's limitations are not a reflection of your value. Before we go deeper, if this message is already touching something tender in you, leave a heart emoji in the comments. Let me know you're here, that you're brave enough to face this truth with me. And if you're grateful for this space where we can explore these complicated realities together, the super thanks button below this video helps me continue creating these deep dives for our community. Your support allows me to dedicate the time these conversations deserve. Now, let's talk about what's really unfolding between you and this person who loves you but can't quite handle all of you. The first thing you need to understand is that what they can't handle isn't a flaw in you. It's a mirror. The very thing about you that overwhelms them is something that reflects back to them a part of themselves they haven't integrated yet, a fear they haven't conquered, or a dream they haven't had the courage to pursue. Let me paint this picture more clearly, because I want you to really see what's been happening. Think about the moments when you felt most yourself around them. Maybe it's when you talk about your dreams with that fire in your voice that makes your whole face light up. Maybe it's when you set a boundary with such clear certainty that there's no room for negotiation. Maybe it's your independence, the way you're complete on your own and their presence is a choice, not a necessity. Maybe it's your emotional depth, how you can sit in the darkness without running from it. Maybe it's your success, your intelligence, your spiritual practice, your wild creativity, your unshakable self-respect. Whatever it is, it's magnificent. It's the part of you that took years to cultivate. It's what makes you, you. And they see it. They're drawn to it like a moth to flame. In their quiet moments, they marvel at this quality in you. They've told their friends about it. They've admired it from across the room. They've fallen in love with you in large part because of it. But here's where it gets complicated: when that light gets too bright, when that strength gets too visible, when that quality demands too much growth from them too quickly, they flinch. You've seen it happen in real time. You'll be in conversation, sharing something that matters to you, and you'll watch their energy shift. Not because they don't care. Not because they're not listening. But because what you're expressing is activating something in them that they don't know how to process. Their chest tightens. Their mind starts creating distance even while their heart is still reaching for you. Or maybe it shows up in how they engage with your life. They're proud of your accomplishments, truly. But when you shine too publicly, when you step too fully into your power, when you receive recognition or move in circles they feel intimidated by, there's this subtle pulling back. This slight cooling. This barely perceptible retreat. They might not even be conscious of it. Most of the time, they're not. They just know that something in them feels unstable when you're fully expressed. They feel inadequate. They feel like they're going to lose you. They feel exposed, like your wholeness is highlighting their fragmentation. They feel the pressure to rise to a level they're not sure they can sustain. And because they love you, because they genuinely don't want to lose you, they try. Oh, how they try. They give themselves pep talks. They show up. They engage. They push through their discomfort. But then something happens, you express that quality again, you embody it fully, you refuse to dim it, and they hit their threshold. The wall inside them that says, "This is too much," gets activated, and they withdraw just enough for you to feel it. This is the push and pull you've been experiencing. This is why they can text you at night with their whole heart open, telling you everything you mean to them, and then barely engage during the day when other people are watching. This is why they can be incredible in private and hesitant in public. This is why they can champion you in theory but struggle with you in practice. Don't go anywhere, because what I'm about to share next will help you understand not just what they can't handle, but why their inability to handle it is actually giving you crucial information. Let me also say this, because I feel some of you need to hear it. If this message is resonating so deeply it hurts, drop a comment with the word "seen," so I know you're with me. You're not alone in this experience. So many beautiful souls are navigating this exact contradiction. Here's what's happening on a deeper level. When someone falls in love with you but can't handle a core part of who you are, they're essentially asking you to make a choice. Will you shrink to make space for their comfort? Will you dim your light so they can stay in their familiar shadows? Will you apologize for being too much of what you authentically are? And I know, how tempting it is to consider it. Because you love them too, don't you? You see their heart. You see their struggle. You see the ways they're trying. And some part of you wonders if maybe you could just soften that edge a little. Express that quality a little less boldly. Give them time to catch up without pushing so far ahead. But here's what I need you to understand, you've already been doing that. You've already been managing your fullness around them. You've already been calibrating how much of yourself to show based on what you think they can receive. You've been making yourself smaller in 1,000 subtle ways, and guess what? It's still too much for them. Not because you're actually too much, but because they're not ready for even the diluted version of your truth. The thing they can't handle about you isn't going to go away. It's not a phase. It's not something you'll grow out of or tone down. It's woven into the fabric of who you are. And somewhere deep in your soul, you know this. You know that what they're struggling with is the very thing you fought to cultivate, the very quality that saved you, defined you, liberated you. Maybe it's your emotional honesty in a world that prefers superficial pleasantries. Maybe it's your ambition in a culture that tells you to be humble to a fault. Maybe it's your sensuality and comfort in your own body when they're still ashamed of desire. Maybe it's your spiritual depth when they're still skimming the surface of existence. Maybe it's your refusal to play small when they've built an identity around staying safe. Whatever it is, it's yours. And it's not negotiable. The question isn't whether you can modify yourself enough for them to feel comfortable. The question is whether you're willing to honor what this situation is teaching you about compatibility, readiness, and the difference between someone who loves you and someone who can actually hold you. If this is landing in your spirit, take a moment and comment with one word that describes what you're feeling right now. Just one word. Let it out. Now we're going to go deeper into the layers of what you're experiencing, because this situation is far more nuanced than, they love you but they're not ready. There are dimensions to this that you need to see clearly so you can make empowered choices moving forward. First, let's talk about the specific ways this shows up, because recognition is power. The more clearly you can identify the patterns, the less likely you are to gaslight yourself or make excuses for behavior that's leaving you feeling half-loved. The public versus private split. Some of you are experiencing someone who is all in when it's just the two of you, but the moment there's an audience, whether that's friends, family, social media, or professional circles, they become someone else. They're not claiming you the way they do in private. They're not celebrating you publicly the way they do in whispered conversations. They love you deeply in the dark but can't seem to stand in that love when the lights are on. This happens when what they can't handle about you is how you challenge their image or their tribe's expectations. Maybe you're from a different background, a different culture, a different socioeconomic class. Maybe your lifestyle or beliefs don't align with what they've told people they want. Maybe you're too unconventional for their conventional world. They love you, God, they love you, but they're terrified of the judgment, the questions, the way claiming you fully would require them to defend choices they're not sure they can defend. During your private moments, they're free to be themselves. But in public, they're performing for an invisible audience that holds more power over them than you do. And that's the painful truth, they're choosing their comfort over your dignity. They're choosing their reputation over your worth being acknowledged. They're choosing the approval of people who don't even love them like you do over the risk of standing fully in your love. The intermittent reinforcement pattern. Others of you are experiencing someone who's hot and cold, present and absent, all in and then completely withdrawn. Just when you're about to walk away, they show up with such intensity and sincerity that you believe things have shifted. They're attentive, they're romantic, they're saying everything you've needed to hear. You think, finally, they're ready. But then, days or weeks later, they're pulling back again. The thing about you that overwhelms them hasn't changed, and their capacity to handle it hasn't expanded, they've just temporarily pushed through their discomfort because the thought of losing you was scarier than the fear of being with you. This cycle is crazy-making, isn't it? You're constantly trying to figure out which version of them is real. You're analyzing what you did differently on the good days versus the bad days. You're walking on eggshells trying not to be too much of whatever it is that triggers their retreat. But here's the truth, both versions are real. The version that loves you is real. The version that can't handle you is also real. And until they do their internal work, you're going to keep riding this roller coaster of their ambivalence. The future-focused avoidance. Some of you have someone who's wonderful in the present moment but completely shuts down whenever the conversation turns to the future. They'll say they love you, they'll act like they love you right now, but ask them about next month, next year, where this is going, and suddenly they're uncomfortable. They change the subject. They say they're not good at planning. They tell you to just enjoy what you have. This often happens when the thing they can't handle about you is how you represent a future that scares them. Maybe you're ready for commitment and they're still emotionally unavailable. Maybe you want children and they're terrified of that responsibility. Maybe you have clear goals and standards for what you want your life to look like, and they know they'd have to level up in ways that feel overwhelming. They love who you are right now, but they can't see themselves rising to meet the version of life you're calling them into. So they stay in the present, enjoying your love while avoiding the reality that you're not going to wait forever for someone who can't talk about tomorrow. The conditional celebration. Then there are those of you dealing with someone who celebrates certain parts of you but subtly criticizes or minimizes the very part that makes you whole. They love your nurturing nature but call you too emotional when you need support. They love your intelligence but say you're intimidating when you speak with authority. They love your independence but call you distant when you maintain your autonomy. They love your passion but call you dramatic when that passion extends to things they don't understand. This is particularly insidious because it makes you doubt yourself. You start wondering if maybe you are too emotional, too intense, too independent, too much. But what's really happening is they're trying to love you in pieces, keeping the parts that make them comfortable and rejecting the parts that challenge them. They want you edited, curated, palatable. They can't handle the fullness, so they're trying to negotiate with your wholeness. Stay with me, because this next part is crucial to understanding why this is happening and what it means. Here's what you need to understand about what they can't handle: it's almost never actually about you. It's about what being with you requires of them. When someone truly can't handle your light, your strength, your depth, your success, your standards, your authenticity, what they're really saying is they can't handle who they'd have to become to be a match for you. You represent growth they're not ready for. You represent healing they're still avoiding. You represent a level of consciousness they haven't attained. You represent a version of life that would require them to leave behind comfort zones they're still clinging to. Your very presence is an invitation to evolution, and evolution is terrifying. It means death of the old self. It means facing fears they've been running from. It means stepping into uncertainty. It means being accountable in ways they've been avoiding. It means showing up with a level of integrity they haven't mastered yet. So when they look at you and feel that surge of love mixed with panic, what they're feeling is the recognition that loving you fully would cost them their smallness. And they're not sure they're ready to pay that price. Think about it: if what they can't handle is your emotional depth, it's because being with you means they'd have to feel their own feelings instead of staying numb. If they can't handle your success, it's because being with you means they'd have to confront their own unrealized potential. If they can't handle your boundaries, it's because being with you means they'd have to respect limits instead of taking what they want. If they can't handle your spiritual practice, it's because being with you means they'd have to examine their own soul instead of staying distracted. You are a mirror. You are a catalyst. You are an invitation to a bigger life. And they love you for it, but they also resent you for it. They're drawn to the very thing that terrifies them. They want the transformation you represent without having to actually transform. And listen, I say this with compassion: they may never be ready. Some people spend their whole lives in the contemplation stage, admiring growth from a distance but never actually committing to it. They'll watch other people evolve. They'll be attracted to evolved people. They'll even love evolved people. But they won't do the work. They won't take the risk. They won't make the leap. If you're feeling the weight of this truth right now, if you're starting to see the pattern clearly, type "I see it" in the comments. Let's acknowledge what's real together. And before we move forward, I want to honor those of you who've been supporting this channel through Super Thanks. Your generosity allows me to create these long-form, in-depth conversations that don't rush through these nuanced realities. If this content is meeting you where you are, that button is there if you feel called to contribute. The invitation you're being given. Here's what this situation is actually doing for you: even though it hurts, it's clarifying. It's showing you, in real time, the difference between someone who appreciates you and someone who can actually be a partner to you. It's revealing the gap between attraction and compatibility. It's demonstrating that love, as beautiful as it is, isn't always enough. You needed to see this. You needed to feel this. Because somewhere in you, there was probably still a part that wondered if maybe you should compromise more, if maybe you were being too demanding, if maybe you just needed to be more patient. This experience is burning away that doubt. It's showing you that no, you weren't asking for too much when you wanted to be fully received. No, you weren't being unreasonable when you expected someone who loves you to actually handle the reality of who you are. This clarity is a gift, even though it doesn't feel like one right now. This knowing is preparing you. It's preparing you to recognize when someone is actually ready for you. It's preparing you to stop settling for partial love. It's preparing you to stop shrinking. It's preparing you to stop waiting for people to grow into their capacity to hold you. What's happening right now is painful, but it's also purposeful. You're being freed from the illusion that you can love someone into readiness. You're being freed from the responsibility of managing other people's capacity. You're being freed from the imprisonment of making yourself smaller so someone else can feel bigger. This is the beginning of your liberation, not the end of your love story. Now I want to take you somewhere deeper, because there's a truth underneath all of this that you need to hear. Are you ready? This is where everything shifts. The person who can't handle that one thing about you is actually giving you the most valuable information you could receive in a relationship. They're showing you who they are right now. Not who they might become. Not who they could be if they did the work. Not who they promise to be someday. Who they are right now, in this present moment, with this current level of consciousness and capacity. And here's the awakening: you get to decide if who they are right now is enough for you. Not enough in some abstract, philosophical sense. Enough in the practical, daily, lived experience sense. Enough when you wake up in the morning and reach for your phone and wonder if they'll be present or distant today. Enough when you accomplish something amazing and hesitate before sharing it because you're not sure how they'll respond. Enough when you're being yourself fully and you catch that flicker of discomfort cross their face. Is this enough? Is partial love enough? Is conditional acceptance enough? Is having to manage how much of yourself you show enough? I'm asking you to be brutally honest with yourself right now, because this is where so many people lose themselves. They keep waiting. They keep hoping. They keep believing that eventually, if they're patient enough, understanding enough, supportive enough, the person will suddenly be able to handle what they couldn't handle before. But here's what I've learned watching countless souls navigate this exact situation: people don't expand their capacity because you're patient with their limitations. They expand their capacity when their discomfort with staying small becomes greater than their fear of growing. And you can't create that discomfort for them by shrinking yourself. In fact, that has the opposite effect: it makes it easier for them to stay exactly where they are. The truth about timing. Some of you are thinking, but what about divine timing? What if they're just not ready yet, but they will be? And I hear you. I believe in divine timing. I believe people can grow and evolve and become ready for things they weren't ready for before. But here's the nuance: divine timing doesn't ask you to put your life on hold. Divine timing doesn't require you to accept breadcrumbs. Divine timing doesn't mean you wait indefinitely for someone to become available for the love you're ready to give and receive right now. If someone isn't ready for you now, that's information. That's them telling you where they are. And you honoring where you are might mean you move forward without them. That's not you giving up on divine timing, that's you trusting that the divine has something better aligned for you than a person who loves you but can't hold you. Maybe they'll do their work and catch up. Maybe you'll cross paths again when you're both different people. Maybe that's part of the story. But maybe it's not. Maybe the lesson here is that you don't wait. Maybe the growth is in learning that you're valuable enough, whole enough, worthy enough to be with someone who's ready now, not someone who might be ready someday. What they're actually showing you. When someone can't handle that one thing about you, whether it's your strength, your depth, your success, your standards, your healing, your boundaries, your joy, your freedom, they're showing you their relationship with that quality in themselves. If they can't handle your emotional depth, they haven't developed their own emotional literacy. If they can't handle your success, they haven't made peace with their own potential. If they can't handle your boundaries, they haven't learned to respect themselves enough to have their own. If they can't handle your healing, they're still identified with their wounds. If they can't handle your joy, they're still attached to suffering. If they can't handle your freedom, they're still in a cage. This is not a judgment. This is just observation. We're all on our own journey. We all have areas where we're developed and areas where we're still growing. But compatibility isn't just about love, it's about developmental alignment. It's about being in similar places in your growth, or at least being committed to growing in the same direction. And right now, this person is showing you that you're not developmentally aligned in this crucial area. The thing they can't handle isn't a small thing. It's not a preference like whether you like coffee or tea. It's a core aspect of who you are. And their inability to handle it is showing you a core aspect of who they are, or more accurately, who they haven't become yet. You can love someone and still recognize you're not aligned. You can have chemistry and still acknowledge you're not compatible. You can have history and still understand you're heading in different directions. You can honor what was beautiful while accepting what isn't working. This is maturity. This is wisdom. This is self-love. The question of self-betrayal. Here's where I need to get really real with you. Every day you stay in a situation where you're only partially received is a day you're abandoning yourself. Every time you dim your light to make them comfortable, you're choosing them over you. Every time you apologize for being too much of what you authentically are, you're betraying the journey that brought you to this wholeness. I know that sounds harsh. I know it probably hurts to hear. But sweet friend, you need to hear it. Because somewhere along the way, you started prioritizing their comfort over your own fullness. You started making their limitations more important than your liberation. You started believing that love meant contorting yourself into something more manageable. But that's not love. That's self-abandonment dressed up as patience. That's self-betrayal masquerading as understanding. That's you playing small pretending it's compromise. Real love, the kind that actually nourishes you, doesn't ask you to be less. It doesn't flinch at your fullness. It doesn't need you edited. It sees all of you and says, yes, this, all of it, I'm here for all of it. And you deserve that. Not someday. Not when you've proven yourself more. Not when you've made yourself more palatable. Right now. As you are. In all your magnificent, complicated, intense, powerful, authentic wholeness. The universe didn't spend all this time cultivating that quality in you just so you could hide it to make someone else comfortable. Your strength wasn't meant to be suppressed. Your depth wasn't meant to be diluted. Your success wasn't meant to be minimized. Your standards weren't meant to be lowered. Your healing wasn't meant to be questioned. Your boundaries weren't meant to be negotiated. Your joy wasn't meant to be muted. Your freedom wasn't meant to be caged. That thing they can't handle. That's your superpower. That's your medicine. That's your gift to the world. That's what you're here to embody and express and share. And you need someone who not only handles it but celebrates it, is challenged by it to grow, is inspired by it to become more. Keep watching, because what I'm about to share will give you the path forward through this. The shift that changes everything. Here's the shift I want to offer you. Stop trying to figure out how to make them ready. Start asking yourself if you're willing to wait for readiness that may never come. Stop trying to decode their mixed signals. Start listening to the clearest signal they're giving you, their inability to show up fully for all of who you are. Stop trying to love them into capacity. Start directing that love toward yourself and asking what self-love would choose in this situation. Stop defending why they're struggling. Start defending your right to be wholly received. This shift, from focusing on them to focusing on you, from waiting for them to choosing you, this is the awakening. This is where your power lives. This is how you stop being a victim of their limitations and start being the author of your own story. Because here's what I know about you, you didn't come this far to settle. You didn't do all that healing to be with someone who can't handle your wholeness. You didn't find your voice to stay quiet. You didn't claim your power to make yourself powerless. You didn't learn to love yourself to be with someone who needs you smaller. You came here for real love. Whole love. Reciprocal love. Love that meets you where you are and celebrates everything you've become. And that person who can't handle that one thing about you. They might love you, but they're not offering you the love you came here for. That's not a judgment of them. That's just a recognition of reality. And once you see it clearly, once you really let yourself see it, you can make a different choice. If this is resonating in your bones, if you're feeling that shift happening inside you right now, drop a comment and let me know. Tell me what's stirring. Tell me what's clicking into place. You don't have to have it all figured out, just share what's alive in you as you're hearing this. So now we arrive at the most important part. What do you actually do with all of this awareness? How do you move forward when you're holding the truth that someone loves you but can't handle the fullness of who you are? Let me give you practical guidance that you can apply immediately. First, name what's really happening. Stop sugarcoating it. Stop making excuses. Stop telling yourself stories that make the situation more comfortable than it actually is. Get clear and honest about what you're experiencing. This might sound like, the person I love can't handle my emotional depth, and it's causing me to suppress my feelings around them. Or, the person I love can't handle my success, and I find myself downplaying my achievements to make them comfortable. Or, the person I love can't handle my boundaries, and I'm exhausted from constantly having to re-establish them. Write it down. Say it out loud to yourself. Share it with a trusted friend. Whatever you need to do to make it real, do that. Because you can't address what you won't acknowledge. You can't heal what you won't face. You can't change what you're still pretending isn't happening. Naming it gives you power. Naming it breaks the spell of confusion. Naming it allows you to stop living in the ambiguity and start making conscious choices. Second, stop negotiating with your wholeness. This is crucial. You need to make a commitment to yourself right now that you will no longer make yourself smaller to fit into someone else's capacity. No more dimming your light. No more softening your edges. No more apologizing for being too much. No more managing their comfort at the expense of your authenticity. This doesn't mean you become harsh or uncompromising in relationships. It means you stop abandoning yourself to keep someone else. It means you maintain your integrity even when it's inconvenient. It means you honor the journey that brought you to this wholeness instead of sacrificing it for someone who isn't ready for it. Make this commitment tangible. Some of you might need to write yourself a letter. Some might need to create a daily affirmation. Some might need to set reminders on your phone that say, "I choose my wholeness." Whatever helps you remember, in moments of weakness, that your fullness is not negotiable, do that. Third, have the honest conversation. At some point, you need to talk to this person directly about what you're experiencing. Not from a place of accusation or blame, but from a place of clarity and self-respect. They need to know what their inability to handle this part of you is costing you. They need to understand that this isn't sustainable. They need to be given the opportunity to either rise to meet you or be honest about their limitations. This conversation might sound like, "I need to talk to you about something that's been affecting me. I feel deeply loved by you, and I appreciate so much about our connection. But I've also noticed that when I express my emotions / talk about my success / maintain my boundaries / whatever the thing is, you pull back. It's subtle, but I feel it. And I'm at a point where I can't continue shrinking that part of myself to make space for your comfort. I need to know if you're willing and able to work on expanding your capacity to be with all of who I am, or if we need to acknowledge that we're not aligned in this crucial way. Will this be comfortable? No. Will they potentially get defensive? Maybe. Will it risk the relationship? Possibly. But here's the truth, the relationship is already at risk. You staying silent and continuing to contort yourself isn't protecting the relationship, it's just delaying the inevitable reckoning. And you deserve to know where they actually stand. You deserve to see if they'll rise when given the chance, or if they'll confirm what you've been sensing, that they can't handle you. Fourth, set a timeline for yourself. This is important, so listen carefully. You cannot wait indefinitely for someone to become ready. You cannot put your life on hold while they figure out if they can handle your wholeness. You need to give yourself a timeline, not one you share with them necessarily, but one you hold yourself accountable to. This might be, "I'll give this 3 more months while actively watching for change." Or, "I'll stay through this season and then reassess." Or, "I'll have one more honest conversation and make my decision based on their response and actions that follow." Whatever timeline feels right to you, commit to it. And I mean really commit to it. Write it down. Tell someone who will hold you accountable. Make it real. Because without a timeline, you'll keep extending your patience indefinitely, and years can pass while you wait for someone to become available for love you're ready for right now. During this timeline, you're not passive. You're actively observing. You're watching for actual change, not just promises of change. You're noticing if they're doing their internal work or just managing your expectations. You're paying attention to whether their capacity is expanding or whether you're just getting better at making yourself smaller. Fifth, build your life independent of this relationship. This is perhaps the most important guidance I can give you. Stop putting your life on hold waiting for this person to get ready. Stop making decisions based on whether they'll be comfortable with your choices. Stop limiting your growth to match their pace. Pursue your dreams. Take the job. Move to the new city. Start the business. Deepen your spiritual practice. Expand your social circle. Invest in your healing. Say yes to opportunities. Live your life fully. If they can't handle you as you are now, they definitely won't be able to handle you as you continue growing. So you might as well grow. You might as well become. You might as well step fully into your potential. Because either they'll be inspired to catch up, or they'll fall away, and either way, you'll be living your actual life instead of a diminished version of it. Building your life independent of this relationship also gives you something crucial: options. When you're not emotionally and practically dependent on someone who can only partially show up for you, you're free to make clear-headed decisions. You can choose from abundance rather than from fear of being alone. Sixth, surround yourself with people who celebrate your wholeness. You need mirrors that reflect back to you the truth of who you are. You need people in your life who don't just tolerate that quality in you that this person can't handle. You need people who celebrate it, who are inspired by it, who remind you why you fought so hard to cultivate it. If you're someone who's emotionally deep, spend time with other people who value emotional honesty. If you're successful, surround yourself with other people who are motivated and ambitious. If you're spiritually attuned, build community with other seekers. If you have strong boundaries, connect with other people who respect themselves and others. These relationships will recalibrate your normal. They'll remind you that you're not too much, you're just with someone who's not enough. They'll show you what it feels like to be fully received. They'll strengthen your resolve to stop settling for partial love. Seventh, prepare for the possibility of letting go. I know this isn't what you want to hear. I know you're hoping I'll give you the magic formula for making them ready. But the truth is, you can't control someone else's growth. You can't force someone into capacity they don't have. And you need to prepare yourself emotionally for the possibility that this relationship isn't meant to continue. This doesn't mean you give up hope. It means you make peace with reality. It means you grieve what you wish this could be while accepting what it actually is. It means you begin to envision a future where you're with someone who can hold all of you, even if that someone isn't this person. Start asking yourself, what would my life look like if I was with someone who not only handled this part of me but loved me for it? What would it feel like to not have to manage my expression? What would be possible if I had a partner who matched my energy instead of one who was intimidated by it? Let yourself imagine that. Let yourself want that. Let yourself believe you deserve that. Because you do. 8. Trust your knowing ****. You already know the truth. Deep in your gut, beneath all the rationalizations and hopes and what-ifs, you know whether this person is capable of rising to meet you or not. You know whether they're actively working on expanding their capacity or just managing your expectations. You know whether this situation is temporary discomfort or fundamental incompatibility. Trust that knowing. Stop overriding your intuition with your longing. Stop letting their love for you override their inability to handle you. Stop making their potential more important than their present reality. Your inner voice has been trying to tell you something. It's why you clicked on this video. It's why these words are landing so hard. It's why you've been feeling that ache in your chest. Your soul knows. Trust it. This doesn't mean you have to make any immediate decisions. This doesn't mean you have to have it all figured out right now. This just means you stop fighting against your own wisdom. You stop trying to convince yourself of something different than what you know to be true. If this guidance is helping you see your path forward more clearly, leave a comment letting me know which piece landed most powerfully for you. And if you're grateful for this depth of support, the super thanks option is there as a way to help me continue creating these resources for our community. The journey from here isn't easy. But it's necessary. It's honest. It's self-respecting. And it's the path to the kind of love you actually came here to experience. As we come to the close of our time together, I want to leave you with something to carry forward. Not just information, but transformation. Not just understanding, but integration. The person who loves you but can't handle that one thing about you is teaching you something essential, that love alone isn't the criteria for staying. That chemistry and history and affection, as beautiful as they are, don't equal compatibility. That you can honor what someone means to you while still acknowledging that they're not capable of meeting you where you are. This is one of the hardest truths to embody. We're taught that love conquers all, that if you care about someone enough and they care about you, you can work through anything. But some things aren't about working through, they're about fundamental capacity. And you can't will someone into capacity they haven't developed. What I want you to understand, with every fiber of your being, is that this situation is not a reflection of your value. You are not too much. You are not too intense, too successful, too deep, too boundaried, too healed, too free, too anything. You are exactly as you're meant to be. The fact that someone can't handle your fullness says everything about where they are in their journey and nothing about your worth. The thing they can't handle? That's your medicine. That's what you're here to give the world. That's what took you years to cultivate, what cost you comfort to develop, what required courage to embody. You don't diminish your medicine to make someone else comfortable. You don't dilute your gift to make someone else feel bigger. You honor what you've become, and you keep it available for someone who's ready to receive it. I know you love this person. I know there's history. I know there's beauty in what you share. I know they're not a bad person, they're just not ready for you. And I know how much it hurts to accept that someone's love for you doesn't automatically translate into their ability to be with you. But what if this pain is actually redirection? What if this limitation you're experiencing is actually protection? What if the universe is showing you this incompatibility now because staying would cost you more in the long run than leaving does right now? What if the person who can fully hold you is waiting on the other side of you choosing yourself? What if your willingness to stop settling is the very thing that opens the door for aligned love to find you? What if you honoring your wholeness is exactly what calls in someone who celebrates it? You're not giving up on love by requiring someone to handle all of who you are. You're actually honoring love by refusing to call it love when it's only partial acceptance. You're protecting love by not allowing it to be weaponized as a reason to shrink. Real love doesn't ask you to be less so someone else can feel like more. Real love doesn't require you to manage your expression so someone else can avoid their growth. Real love doesn't make you responsible for someone else's capacity. Real love shows up for all of you, the light and the shadow, the strength and the vulnerability, the certainty and the questions, the joy and the depth. And you, beautiful soul, deserve real love. Not someday. Not when you've proven yourself more worthy. Not when you've made yourself more manageable. Right now. As you are. In your full, unedited, unapologetic wholeness. So here's what I want you to do as you move forward from this moment. Stop waiting for permission to be yourself. Stop apologizing for taking up space. Stop shrinking to make room for someone's comfort. Stop betraying yourself in the name of love. Stop confusing patience with self-abandonment. Stop hoping someone will eventually be ready instead of honoring that they're not ready now. And start claiming your wholeness as non-negotiable. Start surrounding yourself with people who celebrate you. Start building a life that reflects your truth. Start trusting your knowing. Start believing you deserve someone who can handle all of you. Start moving in the direction of your own evolution regardless of who can keep up. This isn't about being closed-hearted. This isn't about giving up on people. This isn't about being unforgiving or impatient. This is about loving yourself enough to require reciprocal capacity. This is about respecting your journey enough to not diminish it for someone else's comfort. This is about being wise enough to know the difference between a person who's growing toward you and a person who loves you from a distance they can't bridge. You've spent enough time managing someone else's limitations. You've spent enough energy trying to make yourself more palatable. You've spent enough moments questioning if you're too much. You've given enough chances. You've been patient enough. You've understood enough. Now it's time to choose you. Now it's time to honor your wholeness. Now it's time to be unavailable for partial love. Now it's time to trust that someone who can actually hold you exists and is waiting for you to stop settling so they can find you. The person who loves you but can't handle that one thing about you isn't your enemy. They're your teacher. They've shown you exactly what you will and won't accept moving forward. They've clarified your standards. They've revealed your worth. They've given you the gift of knowing that you won't abandon yourself anymore, not even for someone you love. Take that gift. Honor that lesson. And walk forward knowing that the love you're meant to have won't require you to be less than who you've become. It will celebrate you. It will rise to meet you. It will handle not just that one thing, but all the things that make you magnificently, beautifully, powerfully you. I'm proud of you for being here. I'm proud of you for facing this truth. I'm proud of you for being brave enough to consider that maybe, just maybe, you deserve more than you've been accepting. That takes courage. That takes strength. That takes the very quality in you that they can't handle, and that's exactly why you're going to be okay. You're going to be more than okay. You're going to be free. You're going to be whole. You're going to be with someone who sees you and doesn't flinch. And this moment right here, this painful, clarifying, truth-telling moment, this is the beginning of that journey. Before you go, drop one final comment. What's the one thing about you that you're no longer willing to dim for anyone? Say it out loud. Claim it. Own it. Let it be your declaration as you move forward. And remember, you are not too much. You never were. You just haven't found your match yet. But you will. And when you do, everything you've been through will make sense. Every moment you chose yourself will have been worth it. Every time you refuse to shrink will have prepared you for love that doesn't require it. Until then, be unapologetically, courageously, beautifully yourself. The right person won't just handle it, they'll treasure it. Thank you for trusting me with this time, with this truth, with this tender place in your heart. I see you. I honor you. And I believe in the love that's coming for you. Now go be everything you are. The world needs your fullness. And so does the love that's waiting to meet you there.